Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. All right, so here's just a quick video on some of my research that I've been doing recently. So I read this Roger Bacon, a tract on the tincture and oil of antimony, and I've been reading a bunch of different recipes on the Philosopher's Stone and such, and really it just seems to be that a lot of this stuff is just alchemists dissolving metals into their salts and then dry distilling them and like refining the essence that you get off this, and seemingly the essence of those metals, if put in molten metal, makes transmute. I don't know if it actually does, but we'll find out. Anyway, I didn't use stibnite, or which is antimony, or I use iron because it's easy to get rust. And pretty much what the recipes say is just to they like calcine it, they add it with a bunch of like oxidizers, like alkalis and such, and eventually they will make they will distill a like a liquid, like an acid, alkalic, hydrochloric, etc. And I used hydrochloric with rust, and I also used the hydrogen peroxide as an oxidizer. You probably don't need it, but I just added it. You could just use vinegar and hydrogen peroxide as well to dissolve it into an iron chloride, and then eventually they say to add alcohol, high percentage alcohol, and then to distill it off. And I did that, and I'll show you the video in a minute of me like distilling off the rest of that alcohol. And then it's to distill the oil, basically the same way you would distill an oil off like pyrolytically or destructively distilling an oil from like plants, right? You just heat it up tons and it'll smoke out. And some really crazy stuff happened. I'll show you a video in a minute. But yeah, pretty much. And then they say like, taking the oil helps against all these things. I don't know if it does. I tried it and it's very strong. It's very good. Like it's very impressive, to be honest. And he talks about making it, like mixing it into lead ashes and making gold off it. If it actually does, I don't know. It's interesting. But anyway, let's go to the videos. Okay, firstly, so here I'm just getting rid of all the liquid. Excuse the slightly messy kitchen. I was cooking a lot, and all I'm doing is I have a retort and it's held up by a chemistry stand, and it's going into a flask. And you can see there it's condensing the rest of the liquid, which is like alcohol, and it's like slightly hydrochloric. Because what I did is I steamed off I heated off all the hydrochloric acid, right, to like to get rid of it, right, and then I added alcohol, and it's kind of a way of like washing it, but there was still like hydrochloric, eventually, and it's like getting thicker. You can see it's getting thicker. It's getting thicker. So, and I was hoping that it wouldn't smash or break, because sometimes I've had like with cheap glass where I've had it when it goes from a liquid to a solid state, it like pops and cracks the glass. This one didn't, thankfully. Anyway, it's getting more and more. And at this point, I'm like, I think the liquid's starting to get a little bit cloudy, as in the condensing liquid. And I don't know if I show it, and it's like a little bit yellow. No, because it's it pretty much just tastes like hydrochloric acid, except it's really like powerful as well, and sweet, and it's kind of yellowy. So I think it's like getting rid of all that, same way how they make acids from like mineral salts and all that stuff. Anyway, it's getting like really thick here, really thick. Yeah, I show that. So it's kind of like made a lot of liquid, and it's a yellow bit there down the bottom. Yeah, it's like, it's kind of, I guess it's getting rid of that, and it's like maybe a little bit of the really volatile oil. So anyway, it's eventually, as you can see there, it's pretty much dried. I'm like, oh man, is this gonna smash? No, it didn't, thankfully. And I'm waiting for that oil now. Now it should be like the oil should be rising up. So this is the iron chloride essentially. Dry distilling here. I'll go forward a bit. This is a little darker. I show the flask, it's a little more yellow, and I eventually replace that. Oh, no, I don't think I do. Okay, you see there on the top of the flask there, it's like getting more red, and there's little droplets That's like the oil starting to form. And you can see the flask, it looks kind of, it looks like it's like the lasagna and Doom. Anyway, so you can really start to see there the oil starting to form. Really, it's getting redder. See that? That's real. Oh, look at that! Look at that! That's so clear. You can see it there, the droplets on the top, and even on the neck of the pelican head. I think that was that even yellower. Hang on. So go back. Yeah, that's even yellower, the liquid. So there's a little. Yeah. Look at this. See how like red it is. Let's see how it's crazy. And what happens? It condenses on the top like blood. And look at that. Look at the neck. Let me go back. Look. It's hard to. Do you see those sparkles? Look right where my. Can you see my mouse cursor on this? Yeah, I think it's recording. All right. Look at like the top of the neck here. There's like sparkles. That's not some like refraction from the bottom. It got to around this point. We see the ending of this dark red area, and then it would like evaporate. It was literally like I think it was plasma. I think I legit thought it was plasma. In the cinnabar path, you know, they talk about that orb of plasma, and then it releases the red oil. This was like little like flickers of plasma. And then I don't know if it was like releasing oil or something or doing something, but it was like where the oil was condensing, it was, I could see this flickering of plasma. It looked like confetti. So I don't think that's a joke in the cinnabar bath when they talk about like a ball of plasma in the flask. I 100% think that there's some like crazy stuff going on right now with this. But so when I saw that, I could feel like my head just expanded. It was insane. It was absolutely insane to see that. Because I've never seen that. Like what the hell? I'll show it more later. It's insane. You can see here, there's not enough. Yeah, you can see. Look, see how it goes down to here, like here. Look at that. It's crazy. Like, let's see, it's clear. It's like little sparkles, like gem sparkles. What on earth is that? But it's like little bits of plasma, like plasma, or like it almost looks like shards of like metal, but it's like, I don't know if it's the crystal, like it's the condensing oil is forming crystals, and there's like little shards of crystal or something. It looked like a plasma because it kind of disappeared. Weird as, yeah, here I'm showing it again. Like, what on earth? Look at this. I've seen a similar thing in liquid once before, and you can see how flask is red, and the liquid there is a little more, like a tiny bit of oil is kind of dripping a bit, but there's not enough base material to condense much of this stuff. You need so much raw material to look at that. That, what on earth is going on? And there's like an opalescent like rainbow sheen in the condensed red stuff, and when it's starting to become like crystalline, it looks like, if you've seen crystallized blood, it literally just looks like crystallized blood. You can kind of see it's like a little bit there, but the heat's keeping it like a little bit. And yeah, check that out. It's crazy, right? It's insane. So that's like max temperature. That's as hot as I can get it. And the bottom stuff in there is like ash now. So I have a little bit of a clip of that. Yeah, I'm just like, what on earth is going on? It's crazy. Look at that. See, there's a crystallization. It looks, yeah, look at that. That's crazy. That's insane. I'm looking at this thinking like, what on earth is going on? And I'm still thinking like, man, because it looks like little flickers of light that sparkle, and it's just like, you can see on the top here, this black spot, that's where all the crystals condensed in the top area. So it's kind of like old school sublimation, where they close a vessel and on the top you just have all this like condensation. Look at that. And you can see the oil's kind of thickening, but I couldn't get any more to go out. So this is after the heating, the firing. You can see it's got all these interesting colors. Yellow. The yellowiest colors, I think, is kind of like a is the hydrochloric. Because not all you see all this like this oil, a lot of that's just hydrochloric. The more red stuff is the actual like that's what you call the philosopher's stone, right? But that yellowy stuff's just like hydrochloric mixed with it, and you can see it's like blood red crystals, like that looks like dried blood, right? It's all around here. So yeah, it's condensed on the top. You can see that looks pretty interesting. And down here, I'm showing the ash. So that like leftover like grayish ash, some kind of iron, I guess. Finally, that's like I mixed it with alcohol. I put alcohol in the flask, and I got some of the it and like got into a liquid form. It's got the ashes down the bottom, so I guess technically it's like a mineral. Like technically that is a mineral spagyric, I guess. And it's not too harsh in its flavor, but it is a little bit harsh. So I guess ending thoughts, of course I tested everything, of course, to fully understand it. And the iron chloride, when it was not refined, was very astringent, and it was very like sour and harsh because it still had that like traces of the hydrochloric in it, which is not good. And then after the refinement, it had less traces of it. It still had a little bit of it, and it still had a little bit of astringency, but it was much more dull and like weak, a lot less strong. But the effects on the body are a lot stronger. When I first tried, I tried like just a drop of the refined, like the like the crystals, but made into dissolved with alcohol, right? And instantly I could feel my brain was affected by it, and then it spread out throughout my whole body, probably because my brain's kind of inflamed. Bit of stressful couple of days, I guess. But so it's incredibly like effective as a medicine, I guess, and that's what they use this stuff for. Physicians would like doctors would make this stuff to give to people. Like that's literally pretty much one of the reason. I mean, that's what they made this stuff for, right? It's a point of it, pretty much. Besides like understanding how everything works, but at least in a lot of old books, they talk about using it as a medicine, like and at least attest to that it does absolutely function really, really well. It seems like whatever areas in the body are like having issues, it just goes to those areas and it just like starts helping and improving it, right? And makes it feel better. So absolutely is like, super powerful. Now, I think because I've only done it once, like I've only refined it once, it probably isn't very strong. I think if I re-added the liquids that I distilled off, and then I added, it back to the flask, and then I dry distilled it again and kept doing that again and again and again and again and again, it would probably get stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm pretty sure that's what they do. Now, once they usually say like one-time refinement is not very strong. As a medicine, it's not very strong. For making, like gold, it's not very strong, which leads me to wonder if I took those red crystals and I threw it into like molten lead, would it make iron? Would it make gold? Or would it just do nothing at all? I'm not sure. That's something that I think is absolutely needs to be tested. Of course, I probably got to refine this a couple times, and I got to make a ton more of it because it's like you need to work in larger volumes to really get anything done. Like I couldn't even distill any of the oil off, to be completely honest. It was not working at all because of how little I had. I had to use other means to get it right, but it's definitely interesting. Is the seed of metal? I guess is distilled oil. And is that underground? Is that what's going on? It's just like distilled oils, like the mineral vapor channels are like inoculating, almost like a spore, inoculating like raw earths. And it's just those raw earths are being like converted into, various minerals. And I don't know, it's like a mineral channel, like a spirit channel, slowly transmuting it or something like that, right? Again, until I do the experiments, I don't really know, but I just wanted to share because I know I got a bunch of you guys interested in this kind of stuff, right? So I really just wanted to show like this is kind of like I've been like thinking about this and researching this for months probably, and I finally got this experiment to work. And it's really like we've taken a huge step, and it should help you out in your own work to understand this and all this, right? So and this is with iron, it's not with anything, iron and hydrochloric is, I mean, hydrochloric's a little bit, you don't want to get it on your skin, you don't want to drink it or anything, right? But it's not like super dangerous, and you could just use vinegar. You could use vinegar and like hydrogen peroxide, which is, it's a regular, you can buy it in supermarkets. It's an oxidizer, or you can use some other oxidizer. If you can heat it hot enough, you can just use like alkalis, right, to oxidize, so you can get the acid to penetrate. Because you got to oxidize the metal to get the acid to penetrate easier, right? Otherwise, it's a pain in the ass to dissolve it all. So anyway, and I also want to use electrolysis and like electricity to do this. I think there's got to be an easier way than like chemically doing it, but it is fun and interesting to chemically do it. So anyway, I'll leave it with that. Have a good day and goodbye.